Hey, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your ghost host with the most, Brian James. Welcome to Wednesday ShadowZone Worldwide Paranormal. It is an excellent night tonight. A little cold outside, but hey, that's all right. Before we get started here with Utah Paranormal, we have the founder, I should say, Josh, with us tonight. I want to let everybody know that if you go to D's Ghosts and enter the promo code Global EQ, you will get 10% off of your first purchase. This guy makes all of his equipment. He is definitely awesome. And while you're at it, go down to Parapost Network, where it is pretty much a Facebook for the paranormal, drama free. It runs on Apple, it runs on your computer, and it also runs on Android. You can find him at parapost.net, or you can go to the Google Play Store and you can download the app for free. And like I said, it is a great app. But without any further ado here, ladies and germs, let's bring on Mr. Josh from Utah Paranormal. What's
Hey
up, buddy?
Brian, how's it going?
38, overweight, and still kicking.
I like it. I like it.
How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good tonight. Tonight's a good night. Like I said, I'm getting over a little bit of being sick the last few days, but I'm feeling good.
Yeah,
So
you're a bit nasally. Kind of sound like the 911 operator.
yeah, there you go. Let's see. What's your report? What's your address?
911, what's your emergency?
But yeah, we're doing good out here. Love the intro, dude. Definitely
Oh,
really cool. I
thank
like it a
you.
lot.
Thank you. That was conspicuous by his absence. He's making that paper, as he would say.
Yeah, definitely.
He's out working tonight, so I am solo, which is a
Awesome.
scary thing. They let the beast run the show. Never let the beast run the show.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
So I gotta know, what? Oh, there we go. Ah, yes. What got you first started into the paranormal?
Oh man. So what first got me into the paranormal? Would say the first experience I ever had getting into the paranormal, we lived in a house and I was roughly about 7, 8 years old. And there was a back bedroom that had been converted from a garage into a bedroom. And the lady who owned the house actually passed away in that room, which was the master bedroom.
Uh-oh.
And we moved in there, and granted, at this time, I had never even heard of ghosts other than horror movies and stuff like that. It wasn't even a thought that crossed my mind at that young age. But we had some very interesting experiences going on in that house. There was a back door that led from the outside into the hallway that would go across the room. And the dogs always slept in our room at night. And one night I was woken by the dog barking and went from the back door to the hallway and just wouldn't let up. And so when we opened up the hallway door, she bolted out and it was like she was barking at something going down the hall. And then there was other experiences in that house of having cupboard doors and stuff left open at random, just odd things here and there that just didn't make sense. So at that point in time, I kind of started to, back then we didn't really have the internet or anything like that.
Right.
So things didn't quite click with me. So I started asking questions of my older brothers and stuff like that. And of course, here I am, 7 years old, and my older brothers are teenagers, and it's ghosts, the house is haunted. And so I was thinking, instead of being scared of it, I kind of embraced it and was like, okay, so how do we find this out? and I started setting up cameras and trying to do anything that I could. And back then, I had no clue what I was attempting to get or any of that stuff, so I never really caught anything that I know of on film. And then from that point on, I just kind of have always felt there was more in the world that we didn't understand. And there's been times throughout my life where my mom would take me when I was a teenager. She would take me to the morgue, and she would show me all the family plots because all of our family was buried in one particular cemetery. And we'd walk through, and there was a time when they were remodeling part of it. They were tearing some of the crypts out of the wall and moving them to a new part of the mortuary. And there was two little steps. It's all it was you were walking from the one part to the part that they were tearing apart, and it was just two little steps down. Wasn't a new room, wasn't any of that stuff. It was just like a big old open arch. But as soon as we stepped down that, it was like a blast of cold air hit us. Boom, like something went right through us. Me and my mom both. And we both turned and looked at each other and was like, "What was that?" And so we went back up, and I tried to duplicate it. I looked for any obvious reasons as to why or what was going on. But, like I said, I just always knew that there was something more going on. And then
Yeah.
from there, I kind of did my own thing. Didn't really talk much about it to anybody. Always felt like photography was my big thing. So I loved taking pictures of places. And we were out, and we had gone to a bowling tournament up in Reno. And this was back when I was in my mid-20s at this point. And we stopped in Tonopah, and there was the hotel there in Tonopah, which wasn't open to anybody. And I was going up to approach it because I love, for me, the Old West there's nothing more cool about a story than the Old West, right? And so I've seen this old hotel that was one of the first multi-story hotels built out west, still standing. And I was like, I'm going to go take pictures of this. This is super cool. So I go up to go take pictures of it. And I didn't click a single picture as I was looking in the window. Something just said, you need to not be here. It just felt wrong, completely wrong. I didn't click a single picture. I didn't take one picture of the hotel, and I just left. And, come to find out years later, and, I have a hard time with television shows and stuff like that, but I know Ghost Adventures crew was out there a long time ago, and that's where they used to do their ghost tours. And come to find out that hotel is one of the most haunted places in Nevada. But it was just something about it was just not right. Did not sit right with me.
Gotcha. I hate buildings like that. There's a few down here that are abandoned that you just look at and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not typically the type of person that gets frightened easy. Um, I went and I had my palm read, and the lady who did it actually said there's a it's been a while since I've done it, but there's a part in the palm that actually gives me protection against those types of spiritual attacks, as to why you're probably not afraid of going into most places.
nice.
So I've never been, when we go out to locations and stuff like that. I mean, we've gone out to a couple locations. We're out in the brush in the middle of the night, trampling through sagebrush and stuff in the desert. So there's no telling what could be out there. So it's definitely been interesting. I've always kind of wondered why I wasn't overly afraid to go into places. I'm not the first one to just kind of jet into a place. I'm not like, "Hey guys, come on, follow me." But once we're in, I don't feel out of place at all. And oddly enough, when I go visit new towns, the first place I go to is the cemetery. I just always have. I don't know why, but I'm always drawn to the cemeteries. I've taken pictures of cemeteries. Um, everywhere I've ever gone, I have to go visit the cemetery.
You ever come up to Spokane, buddy? We got ourselves 5, 6 good haunted cemeteries I'll take you to.
Nice. Yeah, I got family up in
Absolutely.
Washington, so that's not a far-fetched trip there.
Give Nicole Ghosting Paranormal GP. Hey, what's up? What's up, Nicole? Ghosting Paranormal GP. Hey, Brian. Shared on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Hope you're doing good. Right on, brother. The more shares we can get, the better.
Definitely. Thanks, guys. Yeah, so from that point on, I just we got together and you kind of said it right as you started off. I was co-founded a team to start with. We started Utah Paranormal with a guy I used to work with, and things just didn't work out. And we I don't wish him any harm or ill feelings or anything like that. I hope he's doing well. But we had to go our separate ways because we had a completely different picture in our heads as to what we wanted to do.
I hate it when that happens. I mean, a good team splits because, you can't agree on specific things. And I've gone through a lot of team members because of that.
Yeah.
Mostly
Well, it's
because
not
of
as
that.
easy. It's not as easy to run a team at all. I thought this was going to be cake. What's the big deal about it? You get a couple friends together, you go out and visit places you like to go, and you go back and watch the videos. No big deal. But there's way more to this than any of that a lot of people don't understand. When you start to run a paranormal, especially a team, and you're trying to help people understand and connect with whatever they experienced, you dive so deep into people's personal lives, you know, their relationships, their family dynamics, everything. And it takes a lot of energy to work with people.
Absolutely. There you gotta make the calls, you gotta set up consultations, you gotta find buildings to get into, you gotta get permission, you gotta get permits, you gotta gain people's trust to let you into their home.
Right.
Like with me, I used to post in the buy, sell, and trade ads, and dude, some of the stuff I would get called. They even brought my old band pictures up.
Oh man.
You want this guy in your home? This guy is a Satan worshiper.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah.
used to play heavy metal doesn't mean I'm a Satan worshiper.
Right. Well, and
Guys,
if
extra tough though. I mean, you're in Mormon country.
we are, and we do run up against issues with that because there was a lot of land that was you know primary interest of the Mormon Church. Anything that had to do with money production, all the mining towns, um, anything that had to do historically is typically that of LDS because that was a big thing here. Um, One of our big places to go is as a site called the Mormon, or it's the Mountain Meadows Massacre, and
Really? What's that
this was
about?
a site. This is a site where they had 160 people from Arkansas, men, women, and children, coming down and heading towards California. Well, back in that time, it was 1856. The the leaders of the LDS thought the government was sending spies because this is when the states all pretty much ran, themselves. And so they thought they were sending spies down here to figure out what they were doing and try and give them, hey, this is going to be the law. And so they devised this plan that once they got down here more towards southern Utah, that they were going to ambush them. And they ended up killing like 130 men and children and women. So they went through this whole 3-day battle where they set them up, they ambushed them, they made it look like the local Paiute Indians had attacked them, And then on the last kind of day when the immigrants were coming back down through, they were low on ammo, low on food. And one of the members from the church wrote in and said, "Hey, if I can get you guys to agree to give up your weapons, we'll give you safe travel back up to Cedar City. But you have to give up your guns." And
Oh
they were
no.
like, "Well, we're low on ammo, we're low on food, we're dead out here." And so they gave up all their weapons. Well, they took each man, everybody over the age of 8, they had a guy on them with a gun, and they marched them up in a line, and they separated the women and had marched them up further north. And the guy rode up on horseback, yelled halt and fire, and they shot each one of the guys point blank range. So
Oh no.
120 men got shot point blank. And then when they heard the guns going off, the women started to run. Well, and to save bullets because they were already low on ammo, they beat them to death or stabbed them. And then they took all the kids that were younger than 8 up to Cedar City because they didn't think they would remember. Well, a lot of them did. And so that whole site they took and they just left the bodies out there. I mean, it was horrible. We've gone out there and we've if you go to our Instagram, a lot of the pictures that we've posted up there, the site up there where we found luggage, clothing, bones. We found bones that, albeit there's some of them might be animal, but there's human remains out there, just left out there.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was a bad event. And
We
in that the church has acknowledged, and they set up their kind of little memorial for it. But I mean, that doesn't excuse what happened back then.
absolutely not.
But yeah, we run against a lot of that with the churches. We've been on. We can go down and one of the local places here in St. George is the Jacob Hamlin home, which he's a primary member in the LDS Church, and we've even had friends that are related and family to that, and they've said, "Well, you can come investigate. You can't show any information from there. You can't share any of the videos." And it's like, well, what's the point then? Why
Yeah,
would why would we come there? I mean, it'd be cool to go there, but if we can't record and we can't show anything, then what's the point?
exactly. So I'm curious um to know what kind of evidence you guys pulled out of the massacre.
So the massacre site was very hard because it's outside. Um, and when you're dealing with outdoor, I mean, sure you've known if you've gone investigated cemeteries and stuff like that and locations.
All the
Outside investigation is it's a lot harder than indoor because
ab-
not only do you have the wind to contend with, you've got crickets out there, you've got animals out there, you've got we in that location there's a lot of cows. There's a lot of farmers that surround that area. So, we might be out there in the middle of the night and all of a sudden you hear this you're like, the hell was that? um,
be
but
one of
we
the little boys thinking he's a cow.
one of the most interesting video, and it's always one of these discussions. I love the discussions when it comes to orbs on camera because everybody has their own opinion as to what's dust and what's an orb and all that stuff. But I
Oh god.
have a picture. I have about 7 pictures of us that we were standing. The very first time we went to Mountain Meadows, we were new as a team together, and I invited all my friends that were on our Facebook page at the time, which was like 30 of us. And I was like, "Hey, if you guys want to come out, we're going to this location." So like 20 of them showed up. So we had 20 people at this thing and it was chaos. It was literally a madhouse. People were running all over the place and people are, making noise when trying to get things. So I finally was able to gather everybody up and we were able to go to a one spot where there's like this little memorial altar. And I set my camera up in the back as one of the guys was doing the spirit box and we were all kind of just standing there. And I was snapping pictures like crazy, one right after another, after another, after another. And you can almost see these. I don't know. I I think there's a big difference when it comes to seeing orbs and spirits on camera and pictures and dust. I mean, I've invested a lot into my equipment,
Right.
and my camera doesn't generally pick up dust when it comes to this. And you can almost see these as they kind of seem to gather where we were, one right after another after another. The pictures. It wasn't like we were there and the dust was coming up from where they were. It was like it was coming out and following us, to like people coming. And when you have a tragic event like that where over 120 people died like that, you get a lot of energy out there.
Oh yeah.
And so we have that picture. We've gotten recently I posted on our Facebook page the where we were testing apps. We tested the GhostTube app. We tested the Necrophonics app out there.
How'd that work out?
And those were actually pretty good. I'm still on the fence about how the technology works when it comes to phones,
Yeah.
because phones are very easy to manipulate.
Mhm.
They're very easy to pick up on sound, and when you're asking questions, what's your name? It's very easy to be able to generate a name. But we
Yeah.
were getting names of people that were names on the memorial site. So it was very interesting when sorry, I was reading that as he posted it. Words are tricky for they are very tricky, and it's very tricky for them, when you get them on camera. Um, but it's the location out there was super hard. We've gotten a lot of voices, little things here and there that we can't quite bring through any of our software to be able to tell. But a lot of what I do when I go out, if I hear something, I'll stop and I'll listen. Is there another noise that follows it? Is there anything else? And one of the
Right.
days when we were out there, sorry, one of the nights when we were out there, me and David, David's one of our other team members, we were walking up through the brush, and it was almost like this little girl or young woman laughed. And I stopped, and because I heard this noise, and David looks at me and he goes, "You heard that too, didn't you?" And I go, "What did you hear?" And he goes, "It sounded like somebody laughed, like a girl laughed." And I said, "That's exactly what I heard." So I don't just go blurt out like, "Did you hear that girl laugh?" Because then people tend to be like, "Yeah, I did hear that girl laugh." You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I always try and look for the cues from other people as to, okay, I know what I heard. What did you hear? I heard
Exactly.
this. Okay, that's not what I heard, or that is what I heard, so that I know what I'm understanding and what they're understanding is the same thing.
I'm the same exact way. Like when we're we'll use Greenwood Cemetery, for example, you know, and you hear, hey, and you stop dead in your tracks and you're like, did you hear that? What'd you hear? No, 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 no. What'd you hear?
Yeah,
I know what I heard. I want to know what you hear. Well, it sounded like somebody said, hey, okay, we're on the same page then.
yeah. When we were out in Pioche, Nevada, um, Pioche, Nevada is another little silver mining town just on the other side of the Utah-Nevada border. They're roughly about 100 miles north of us, northwest of us. Super cool little town. I mean, small town built on the hillside. One of the first towns that actually used a crane system to crane the ore from off the mining hill down to the mine to be able to process it. And
Oh,
the
no,
bucket cars are still there. So it's
really?
really cool. I mean, if anybody's ever out this way, go check it out because it's a super cool little town. Not much there. There's a restaurant that closes at 7:30 and a general store that closes at 7. So bring food because you'll need it.
No doubt, right?
And there's a couple bars there in town, but the Overland Hotel, that's the one. That's the key factor right there. We're going to be spending a lot of time this year in Pioche, Nevada. There's the Gym Theater and the Overland Hotel. If you just search the Overland Hotel on YouTube, there's a number of people that have gone there and a number of stories that have been told. But that's going to be a big one for us. We went out there, and that was one of the few places where I felt the presence of somebody. And you know when somebody's standing there,
Yeah,
you
you
can't
just
see them, but you know something is in that spot.
yeah, you get that feeling in your stomach. You're like,
Yeah,
okay, I know you're there, buddy. I know
and
you're there. Say something. I dare you.
we were in the room. Room 10 is the they don't rent this room out anymore as a they have these themed rooms like fishing room and a bear room and stuff like that. And they're not like super themed, but they're like little, like the lamp will be a fish lamp or a bear lamp or whatever.
That's cool.
But it's a cool little place. But room 10 there, so this room they used to rent out as a normal room. They've taken all the theme out of it now because I guess they've had a couple instances where people refuse to spend the night there. So they had the owner was telling me they had a guy who was a Navy SEAL, and he was in bed and came flying downstairs and said, "I'm not staying here. I'm not staying here. I want my money back. I'm out of here." And they were like, "What is going on?" And he said, I'm not staying. I want out." Something pulled me out of bed.
Oh shit.
And I guess this guy was a big, he was 280-pound, big Navy SEAL dude, ex Navy SEAL, and tough guy, and he's like, the look on his face was just sheer terror. And so they had that instance, and then they had another one they were renting out to a guy that was passing through. And in the morning, when the morning crew came in to clean, I guess this guy came in from outside of his car, and they were like, "Why were you sleeping in your car?" And he goes, "Something kept pulling my sheets off all night." He's like, "It happened 3 times, and I didn't want to sleep in the room anymore." He's like,
Oh.
I slept in my car." So they've had that.
So apparently the Spirit Talker app said Private Carl, and the dude was real where Ghosting Paranormal GP was. I was actually on a podcast, and Ghosting Paranormal, I invited him on, and they're in the middle of an investigation. So they chime in and they ask if they can come on. I'm like, well, it's an open podcast night. Why not? Sure enough, we did a virtual investigation with these guys, and it was just off the hook,
Yeah,
man. It was a great investigation. Ghosting Paranormal GP is definitely somebody you should get with.
yeah,
These
definitely.
guys are awesome.
I'll have to check them out. Yeah, they unfortunately the one thing for us is Peosh, Nevada doesn't have the greatest of cell service because it's out in the middle of nowhere. And
Right.
so we've tried to go live there and do stuff, and it just didn't work out. It was more of a frustration. We actually tried a couple new things when we were out there where we had, because the one room 10 has two separate rooms. You walk into a hallway and it splits off, and one has like a almost a master bedroom and the other one has like two beds. And we had one of the crew members go into the one bedroom and I went into the other bedroom, and we were sitting there, and we were both live, and I would ask questions, and they had um, a mask on and headphones on, and we had running a spirit box through it, and so they were just anything that they heard, they were shouting out. So it was whatever the one person in the room is saying, like 10, blue, whatever they're hearing, and I'm in the other room asking questions. And the funny thing about that is because the one guy that was in there, he absolutely cannot stand to be touched. He freaks out when he feels anything that's not there touch him. So I was like, as a joke, I kind of was like, if there's anybody that's in there, can you touch Byron's ear? And not but 30 seconds later, he flipped out. He threw off his headphones and he's like, "I'm done. I'm done. I'm done." No more. I'm done. And went in there and I was like, what's wrong? What's going on? And he's like, something just touched me on the side of the head. I don't know what. I don't. He's like, I'm done. So I was like, sorry, dude, but I kind of actually provoked that in a way, and I don't know if it was in direct contact of that, but it was pretty funny to say the least.
Nicely done. Nicely done.
But yeah, that's going to be a big point of our investigation this next year is Pioche.
Nice. Nice. So that's what the fans have to look forward to
Yeah,
for
this
the
next
upcoming.
year we've got an invitation to go into the gym theater, which is newly remodeled. We'll be the first team that's investigated the gym theater in at least 20 years.
Oh wow. What kind of what activity do they got going on?
So the owners there say they hear a lot of voices, they see a lot of shadows, a lot of missing items. They'll put something down and it'll appear somewhere else later. Um, a lot of that stuff. They've found a cool little hallway that kind of went back and under the building. That's led to some kind of secret rooms and stuff like that. So to kind of give a little bit of history of Pioche, like I said, it was an old mining town, silver mining town, and oh, that's Sam. She's one of our kind of members and helps out with the team a lot.
Hi
Good
Sam.
friend. Um, we'll be heading back that way in March or April when it kind of warms up a little bit because it is cold up there at night, freezing cold up there at night.
I
Um,
bet.
but to kind of go back to that Pioche, so they have a cemetery there, and I know there's other cemeteries named this, but it's called Boot Hill Cemetery. And the reason they renamed the cemetery Boot Hill Cemetery is because the one year they had more people die in their boots than died of natural causes, which means they were killed. And
Okay.
there's a whole separate section for the people that were killed through that way or that were murderers, or they have a whole separate section for in the cemetery just for that.
Oh wow.
So that's going to be a good focus. There's the gym theater, there's the Overland Hotel. There is the curator of the museum up there, Leslie. She is super nice lady. And if you, like I said, if anybody gets a chance to go there, go check out the museum. It is a time capsule. Probably one of the best collections of older stuff that I've seen anywhere, ranging from the early 1800s to, late 1900s of stuff from all time periods there, just in mint condition. I've never seen anywhere else some of the stuff that they have.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that's going to be a good. That's what next year is going to bring for us, and we are putting together a YouTube video. We're going to do it in parts, and basically, what we are going to be demonstrating is not necessarily our investigation as a ghost investigation, but as a historical kind of document to the town. So we'll do sections. We'll do a small video on the Overland. We'll do one on the museum. We'll do one on the theater. There's the $1 million courthouse down there. There's the Boot Hill Cemetery, and then as a collective, we'll put them all together. But I want to kind of tell the history and the town, and then the spirits that are still there.
I for one can't wait to see that.
Yeah,
That sounds absolutely phenomenal. I myself am quite a history buff.
yeah. I've always been drawn to that time period. I think when everybody came over from Europe and colonized the U.S., we kind of took a step back in time because everything went back to wood buildings, and then they moved even further out west and kind of almost went back to a medieval time in a way, where people weren't the civilized castle age of what they were, and so we kind of reverted back. And it's not uncommon to be wandering through the Utah desert or any parts of the back east here, and all of a sudden there's just a building out in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, man, I wonder what the story is here. How many people passed through here? What was this?
Exactly. You see, here in Spokane, you don't really get much of that. I mean, about the coolest thing in Spokane is the History and Art Museum,
Hmm.
only because it's a haunted mansion.
Oh yeah, awesome.
And of course, they don't let no investigations go on or anything like
Right,
that. All the haunted mansions, all the haunted hotels, restaurants, they're nose up in the air, goody goody two shoe places that don't want to be known for their paranormal.
right, right. And that's a big problem we run into here is just any place that is deemed haunted or has stories behind it, we have a really hard time getting into. Because they don't want to be known for anything paranormal. It's kind of left, in the last few years or so, it's kind of left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths because you have a lot of these shows that have popped up and kind of run through, and there's a lot of overacting and a lot of just, like you said, anybody who gains fame from anything, you get a lot of haters
Oh
in the
yeah,
process. And anytime I've gotten to the point where I don't try to convince anybody. If they flat out, so they're like, well, that's not real anyway. I go, okay, you know, there's no point because they've already made up their mind.
exactly.
But I've shown people that are on the fence evidence of stuff that we've collected and pictures and stuff like that, and they're like, what was that? What was that? Like I saw it, but I'm not comprehending what that was. That's not human, or that's not, you know,
I mean, the last person I tried to convince, he was on the buy, sell, and trade, and he said, "This garbage doesn't belong on here. Will a moderator please clean this crap up?" Blah blah blah. And I simply hopped on there and I said, "Look, dude, you're on here to sell your stuff to help people, right? Well, we're on here offering a free service to help
right,
people. And before you say we're fake, we haven't faked a piece of evidence in 8+ years since
right,
we've been together. And before you go on a rant about us ripping people off, we don't charge a dime either." I said, "And by the way, I could probably take you to a couple of places that would make you change your mind real freaking quick about the paranormal, buddy.
yeah, yeah,
So take that as an invite and get a hold of me when you're ready to put your big boy pants on and actually come see what we see."
yeah. One of the biggest people that we have on our team, Jim, he he was a skeptic. I mean, he kind of still is. He Me and him kind of think a lot along the same things. We look for every possible explanation before we can say, okay, that's something we need to hang on to for a bit and look at it closer. You know, and we were asked to come to a guy's house, and we were sitting there. We were talking with the guy and his wife. They're the only ones in the house. They have a couple dogs, and we were just kind of getting some backstory and stuff like that. And he was having a really hard time sleeping at night. He gets woken up a lot at night. Stuff he sees but he can't explain. He sees shadows all the time. And I'm asking his wife, "Is this stuff that you see at all?" And she goes, "I haven't seen any of it." She says, "I sleep like a baby." But it's freaking him out. And he's an ex-Marine, long history in the service, and he goes and he explains this. And while he's talking to one of our other members, me and Jim walked into the bedroom because him and his wife slept in separate bedrooms because he wakes up so much that he hates to wake her up, and he's got all this Marine Corps, paraphernalia stuff, badges and pictures and medals and dog tags and stuff like that. And I'm looking at all this stuff, and we tested out a few things. We had our little K2 meter out. I had sitting on the bed, and it's the typical one with the lights. It goes from green to red, green, yellow, orange, and red. And I had it. I went around the whole room checking for anything that would go through interference. We set it on the bed, and we were just talking. And then Colleen came into the room, and I said, "Hey, let's throw the ghost tube app on just to see what we get." and we'll just sit in here and we'll just talk. So we put it on, and it wasn't too long. We were getting things like asylum and prison, guard, basement. Just words were coming through one right after another, and it was, yeah. So prison, asylum, guard, basement, closet, and I just said, how many people are here? And we got 7 that came through on the GhostTube app, and I was like, well, okay. And I didn't ask specifically like how many spirits are here. I just said how many people are here. And I was like, well, there's 3 of us here. There's the 2 of them. That's 5. They have 2 dogs. Could that be the 7? Or is that what we're talking about here? We'll go back to that later. And then we kind of sat there, and I had the K2 meter still sitting on the bed. It hasn't moved the whole time we were in there. Hour and a half we were in the room. And Jim goes, well, what about the meter? He goes, why don't you interact with that? He's like, I don't know, because he's still not familiar with all the equipment and everything. He's like, I don't know how that works, but see if do your thing. And I was like, okay. And I was like, this on the bed, this is a light that you can make go up and down. I said, can you make the light move? And it kind of fluctuated a little bit. And then Jim kind of looked at me like, that was kind of weird. And I said, yeah, it was kind of weird. I said, can you make the light go higher? Can you make it go to orange? And it fluctuated to orange and then stopped. And I said, can you make it go to red? And it went to red and stopped. And then that was when Jim was like, okay, that was really freaking weird. Like, you asked it a direct question and it responded. And I said, yeah, that's kind of where you start to get the evidence of with how you feel like you're making communication with somebody. So we had ended up going back out of the room and talking to the guy again, and we were talking about the stuff, and we were asking about names because we got a lot of names through the GhostTube app, and nothing was really connecting. Asked him, about his grandma, his relatives, friends, and family. Well, come to find out, he was a prison guard in Pennsylvania at the big house, and he
Uh-oh.
worked in the basement.
Oh, no.
And I was like, you're kidding me, right? And he goes, no. I said, that's funny. And I hadn't told him any of the stuff that we got, because we're just still trying to collect our evidence to see if we actually even made communication with something or someone. And I said, now tell me about the stuff that's in your room. You have a lot of stuff from the military, and it looks like from a lot of different people. And his wife goes, yeah, 7 different people. And I'm telling you, man, the hairs on my arm, even to this day, still the hairs on my arms stand straight. Like I can even right now, I get the chills just thinking about it. And I was like, what did you say? And she goes, 7 different people. There's stuff in there from 7 different people. And she goes, and there's more in the closet. And I said, you're kidding, right? And she goes, no, I can show you. And I laughed and I said, no. I said, that's not, I don't need to see it. I said, you're going to think this is weird. But when we were in there and I asked how many people were here, I got the number 7. And we got the word closet quite a bit. So it was a pretty interesting experience we had there.
So a GhostTube app told you everything about this guy, about how many people he had in there,
Right.
and 100% accurate.
Yeah, it was 100% accurate on that. Now, unfortunately, when we do investigations at homes like that, we don't record any information for people unless they specifically ask us to ahead of time. So,
Yeah, you've always got to have that disclaimer.
yeah. Yeah, we go in with 100% privacy. We don't share their names. We only share the stories. But it was spot on, and that's where I tend to have a little bit of hard time with the apps. We've run the Necrophonics app, which is a big one that a lot of people like to use, and we've run it out at places, and I just can't understand what's coming through. It doesn't really make any sense. And then we've gone out to places and had quite a bit of success. I've run it at a couple cemeteries up in central Utah, and man, I could tell you whatever was coming through, it was the same voice time and time again, and we were getting answers.
Oh, wow.
So it's hard to dispute those types of things when you have those experiences. With GhostTube, they say they don't insert any words or random phrases, but it is still an entertainment purposes app, right? Because they don't want to get sued for anything.
Right, right.
There is, I know Amy's Crips is a big one. She does a YouTube channel, and she uses the GhostTube app a lot. And a lot of times when I watch her stuff, I'm just going, I don't see it. I don't understand where the relevance is.
Yeah.
But we've gone out to places like Grafton, Utah. Grafton was an old little town, just east of us, and we go out there and we get words like flood and Indian attack, and all those things were things that have happened there. So again, I don't know if I have a hard time saying that the app's being inserted as to those locations when there's so many locations around the world. Like, why are they focusing on our location and those specific facts? Because you'd have to know those types of things in
Oh,
order to
yeah.
put it onto the app.
And
But there
there's no
again, phones are
one.
so easily to manipulate that you can easily go and go, okay, this is the map, this is the thing. What historical events happened there? Oh, there was a flood there. Put in flood at this location. But
With
that's what
so
I would
many
say.
people using it around the world, though, I mean,
Right.
do you think they really have the
Yeah, see,
manpower?
I don't. I don't. But then there are times where we get just irrelevant stuff. We turn it on and we try it, and it's just weird, random, nothing really making sense.
Just random jaw flapping.
Yeah. So, but then we go and last weekend we were running it at a friend's house, and he said that his wife sees a shadow all the time in the house. So I said, well, let's turn it on and just see what we get. And we weren't getting anything for 45 minutes. Not a single word came through for 45 minutes on this app. And I got up and walked into the kitchen, and we got the word kitchen.
Whatever.
And so he's like, I'm not. He's like, nope, turn it off. Turn it off. We're done. Nope, we're not. And it kind of freaked him out. So it was like, why are those certain things that happen? Or what's the purpose of it, as opposed to does it really work or not? So it's hard to say.
And this is the first time I've ever heard of the Ghost Tube app.
Yeah, GhostTube app. It's a free to use app, and then they have a subscription for like $11 a year that gives you a bigger database and more recording time and stuff like that. They actually make a couple different apps. They make a Vox app, and they make a SLS camera, and then they have the GhostTube app, which takes the way they explain it is it takes electromagnetic energy and then generates that into a word or number.
So pretty much what an obelisk does.
Pretty much, yeah. Same principle, just in a phone base and an app. So it's a basic, easy to use. Like I said, I've used it for years. I've had it since they first came out.
I guess I could see where the relevance is the same. And if people are getting hits off of it like that, I
Yeah.
could see where it would actually be a useful tool.
Yeah, we can kind of see this. This is how it just runs, and it'll
Okay.
generate. It's kind of hard to see there on camera, but the words will generate down here. And it's got a couple other features that it's supposed to have. If you get something too close, it's supposed to beep. And the idea that if a spirit comes too close, it's supposed to beep. And there's a couple other things that you can do with it. But I mean, I've tested it. I've ran it here at the house for years and years. Yeah, you do need light with the SLS app for them. That is true. That does not do well in the dark like the old Xbox Connect one.
The good old flashlight.
Yeah, I love the flashlight.
And
I'm an old school kind of guy. I like the old, um, the rods and the flashlight and the pendulum and stuff like that.
if you go to D's Ghost,
Hmm.
He makes his own equipment. He actually made my partner Jason a flashlight with a REM pod built in.
Oh, nice.
So when you turn the flashlight on and you're walking through a dark spot and all of a sudden the REM pod goes off, man, you got a spirit standing 2 feet in front of you.
Yeah.
And he makes all sorts of great equipment. If you use the promo code Global EQ, it'll get you 10% off your first purchase.
It's awesome. Yeah, I've checked them out a few times, and we'll be placing my orders with them here pretty soon because
Well,
I've
don't
looked at
forget
a
to
lot of the
use
stuff.
Global EQ
Yep,
to get
I
you
will
10% off.
definitely.
Oh man, I gotta say, it does not feel like 53 minutes has passed by.
It really doesn't. It doesn't. It's sword passed real quick.
It it really did. So, what are some of the other places you guys have investigated and have come out with some great evidence?
Locally here, like I said, we've hit Mountain Meadows, so that was a big one. That one was really hard. We don't have a lot of evidence without contamination from background noise. Um,
Dang,
Grafton, Grafton is up here by Zion National Park, not too far outside of that. Small little town, old 1800s town. That one there, we've gotten a lot of shadows and footsteps and voices in the houses because you can actually go in those houses. They've
oh,
remodeled a lot of them so that they're safe to walk into. And
man, you're not gonna fall through the floor.
yeah, exactly, exactly. Unfortunately, a lot of kids go out there at night because it's the haunted town and it's there's easy access to get into it. So kids will
Right.
go out there and mess around and do stupid stuff. But
Satanic rituals.
yeah, all kinds of weird stuff going on out there. But there's a little cemetery out there, and we, I always say when you hear a story about a place from different people with the same kind of uh, happening, the same patterns or same stories, but these people have no connection to each other. It's time to go check out what's going on.
Exactly.
And Grafton was one of those. They say there's a woman that walks through the field, or you can hear it. Right before I started up the team, me and my wife went out to Grafton, and there's about 6 little houses that you can go into around there. And I was taking pictures, and upstairs in the second story house, it my wife goes, "There's somebody up there. There's the I can." She's like, "I." She goes, "I'm gonna sound really weird saying this, but she's like, I can see a little girl up there." And she's never talked about being able to see spirits or any of that stuff. She absolutely hates going on investigations. She likes being the outside person that's outside of the investigation, still there, but not quite.
Right. Not
But
there, but still there.
right. So we took pictures there. Again, we posted a lot of those on our Instagram. There's a picture. I was actually in one of the houses, and I took pictures from me standing outside the house. And again, it was just me and my wife were the only ones there. And you can see what looks like the pant leg or leg of somebody inside the house. And it's
Oh
dark and
wow.
it's jet black. So, because I did multiple, like anytime I take pictures of something specific, I take multiple shots just in case.
Yeah, always gotta have
And
to count to three.
yeah, and I had the first shot, there was nothing there. And the second shot, there was like a leg, and you can see it. And you can see my reflection in the glass, but you can clearly see behind it, there's something inside that moved across this room.
Hey,
Um,
John,
yeah,
did you know Brain has the hookup?
Brain has the hookup.
Thank you, Ghosting Paranormal GP. So, what was in the third picture?
In the third picture, again, it was like there was nothing there. It was absolutely like something ran completely across the room, and that was it. And I didn't notice them at the time. It was back when we were looking at the pictures, um, that I was when I noticed it. But my wife was freaked out about being out there.
You know, it's
Grafton.
like somebody wanted to ride home if they're showing a little bit of leg.
Well, and it's funny because with Grafton, there's a lot of people that will say things follow them home from there. And anytime people go out there, they always feel drawn to go back. Like they need to go back for some reason shortly after. And I'm
Huh.
almost wondering if something isn't following him and being like, hey, come back and play. Like we like the attention. Come back and, you know, wanting them
Take
to
me
come
back
back.
home. Drop me off. I'm tired of being here.
So that same weekend we went out there, me and my wife were home alone, and I think my daughter was on. She was actually, I think, in Hawaii at that time with her friends, and I was sitting on the couch, and back behind us. This isn't the house where we're in now, but it's a small condo that we had. We had bookcases back behind us, kind of like this one over here, and she had this stuffed animal, this little Brooks buffalo that was sitting up there, just kind of like this, the same style of bookcase, and it doesn't move. Like it, you can move it, it'll fall backwards, but it was on the floor, and this is a pretty big, you know. And I said she had walked into the kitchen, and I turned. She asked me a question, and I turned around and I said, "What?" And I look on the floor, and I said, "Why didn't you pick that up when you walked in there?" She goes, "That wasn't on there when I walked in there." So I was
Oh,
like, "Hmm, interesting." That was pretty interesting. We had a couple other events happen at that condo right after that, and I always kept seeing shadows. I would always think one of the kids was walking out from the hallway, and I'd look up, and nobody would be there.
oh, wow. Samantha's got a good one here. I've been followed home. One of the houses that you can't get into always calls me when I'm over there, and I wish I could get back inside. It's where I saw the old man in a blue light.
Yeah, yeah. There's one section back in Grafton where you can't. It's private property and it's fenced off, and you can't get to it, unfortunately. And I haven't been able to find out who owns it, but I would love to get in there. That's where Sam's talking about.
Oh, okay. Nice.
But we've gone there. We've gone to Pioche. Um, we haven't really ventured too far up north. There's a lot up north in northern Utah. Asylum 49 is a big one. Um,
Oh, I'm 49 in Salt Lake
yeah,
City.
that's a big one.
I've
That
heard stories about that one.
Yeah, we'll get up there eventually. They're roughly about $1,500 to get into for
Ooh,
6 hours or something like that.
a little
So
spendy, but
yeah, it's
hopefully it's worth
pricey.
it.
From what I understand, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be one of the more haunted places here in Utah.
Nice.
Um, we've been up to when I had my partner up north. He went up to Steed Pond quite a bit. Um, and that one again, it's another outdoor location where a couple kids drowned in the pond, and they say that you can see the footprints or handprints coming out of the pond. We didn't really get anything from up there. It's always packed. It's always busy. People are always fishing or doing stuff because it's an open pond.
Right.
So that one's always a hard one to get into. But
Any open area that's public is hard to get
yeah,
into. We have a bridge here called the Monroe Street Bridge,
hmm
and there have been probably 150 to 200 jumpers since this bridge was built. But you got traffic going all hours of the night, and you can't really get under the bridge. So, and if you do, there's a bunch of homeless people down there, and
yeah,
I would love to investigate it, but you just can't.
yeah. That's the same things we've run into at Grafton. We'll be up at Grafton at 11, 12 o'clock at night, and all of a sudden there'll be a line of cars coming in. It's like, what the hell are these guys doing? You know? And then you got to wait for the dust to clear and all that stuff. But those have been the main focus as of lately. And then the last little bit, we haven't really done much. We've just been focusing on trying to get everything in order. We've actually run into a little problem. There's a team up in northern Utah calling themselves Utah Paranormal, and it kind of infringes back on our licensing. So I've been trying to get a hold of them and I don't want to, in this industry, I've met a lot of people that have been super nice, and I don't want to necessarily stop anybody from doing what they're doing. I just want to make
And
sure that they're going about it the right way.
you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
You,
So I don't
but
want to call the guy and be like, "Hey, so the name you're using, you can't use." But at the same time, I'm like, we pay to use that name. So like if you want to do something with this name, there's some things that we need to talk about.
oh, absolutely. And
So,
especially if you already paid for it, that's your name, that's trademarked.
yeah. So that's the unfortunate thing when you have a name like Utah Paranormal. When you run a state name, you're bound to have teams pop up that are like, "Hey, let's get together. We're going to call ourselves Utah Paranormal." And they don't do any research, and they just think they can go out and do whatever.
Right.
So,
That's when we first came up with our team. One of my teammates and founders wanted to name us Ghost Bumps.
Ghost Bumps.
I about fell out of my chair laughing. I said, dude, that has got to be the dumbest name I have ever heard. So then we thought about it for a while. We threw a couple names around and we were like, well, what about the Spokane Ghost Crew? We did our research. There's a ghost walking crew, a little dance team in California, but so we took the name SGC and yeah,
Yeah.
nobody ever tried to use it, luckily.
No, that's good. That's good. I think in the last few years, I saw your podcast with Gallo, and like I think he hit it right on the head when he said these last few years, it's gone from being non-existent to, I mean, thousands upon thousands of people popping up overnight. And people have the ability to, in the last few years with the whole COVID stuff going around, people have had the ability to travel more and go places that they normally haven't gone. and
Right.
and they've had extra money with stimulus money and stuff like that, so they've gone and they've bought cameras and they've bought cheapy equipment and whatever Amazon was selling as their ghost kit, and like, hey, let's go ghost hunting and we'll put it on YouTube and we'll make tons of money off this stuff. So anytime you pop up a location, you watch some of these videos, you're going, what is this?
Right. And
you
that's
know
the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator.
right.
Ghost hunters are these new age jackasses running around with a bunch of K2s going, ooh, look, I got a spike. I got a spike. Oh, look, I'm 2 feet away from a
Right.
refrigerator. Woo!
Yeah, exactly.
Where
Yeah.
when you're a paranormal investigator, you have that passion, you have that burn, that desire. You live, eat, and breathe the paranormal,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know, and
it took a lot. I mean, it even to the point where it started to affect my marriage a little bit, because every time we went somewhere, people were like, "You run a team? Like, I need to know. I need knowledge. I need to know what the hell this was." And they'll start talking about stuff. And my wife was at a point where she was like, "We can't go anywhere without somebody bringing it up." And it's like, honestly, it's like it's not me bringing it up. People will be like, "Hey, there's Josh. He knows about paranormal stuff. Let's go
mm-hmm.
talk to him." And more often than not, a lot of times you talk to people and you're like, "Yeah, dude, don't worry about it. You know, it's probably nothing. It's probably this, or this." But there are times with stories and things that people have told me where I'm just going, "Okay, you know, do you want me to come over? What do you want to do with this?" And that's typically what I ask people. What is it that you want to do
And the
with this
wife rolls
information?
her eyes and tries to pull you along. And you're like, hang on a minute, hang on a minute.
Yeah, just
I'm
hang on, just one
here.
second. So yeah,
Yeah.
and we actually had to sit down and talk and be like, okay, listen, I'm not going to bring it up, but if it comes up, this is what I do. I mean, if
Yep.
I could do this full time 24/7, I would.
Hmm.
but I work and stuff like that, and when we're out, that's my time to kind of talk about it.
Exactly. I've almost lost my wife twice due to the SGC.
Yeah,
I will pour 8 to 12, if not more, hours a day networking, meeting with people, going and
right.
checking things out. And, we have 2 kids, and she's like, look, I'm at my breaking limit. I can't take care of these 2 kids on my own. I need you home.
Right.
Us or the paranormal.
Yeah.
Never find that 50-50 balance.
Yeah, it's a hard one, man. And it's
Found it.
something I never saw coming when we started the team. I never knew what kind of time it was going to take and be involved in. And once you start meeting people and talking with people, and you, like you said, even now it's been an hour, and here you are, you don't even realize that the time is gone through, because that's what we're doing. You know what I mean? This is a casual conversation about what we do.
Right,
And
right.
so it's different than what I thought it was going to be. I thought we would get together with a couple friends, we'd have like 20 people on our Facebook page that we knew, and we'd post a couple pictures here and there of stuff that we caught, and it's gotten way bigger than that. And even with our Instagram page, I've met people in Germany and Scotland and Ireland, and just all over the world, and some of these people are, I mean, some of the nicest people that you'll meet.
Oh, absolutely.
And then on the other end of it, you run into some people that are just absolute haters of the game. They want to tear it down. They want to disprove anything that you put up, and say, "Oh, that's dust. That's crap. This is this. This can be fabricated. This can be that."
The good old trolley oleo.
And that's why I've stepped away from a lot of pages and stuff like that. Um, the Facebook community, any community that you're on social networking that is open to everybody, is there. There's probably 70% trolls and 30% that actually care about what they're looking at.
Exactly. And that's why, for everybody that's watching, if you've never heard of it, go to Parapost Network. You can find it at parapost.net. You can download it in the App Store. You can get it for Android. You can get it for iPad or iPods. You can get it on your computer. It's free to download.
Yep.
And it's a community just for the paranormal. And there's no drama, nothing like that whatsoever. The best platform I have ever been on.
Yeah, and I'm pasting it up on our Facebook page right now
Beautiful.
for people to sign up on there. Yeah, join, because we're gonna be on there by the end of tonight. We'll be on there, and
Definitely join everybody. Join the growing community and be a part of the best paranormal platform in the world going right now.
yeah,
Well, you want to try to break my old record of a podcast?
yeah. What was your record?
5 hours and
Oh,
16 minutes.
God. I mean, I got to work tomorrow, and also we can do it. We can definitely do it on another night.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No, but I just want to say to you, and everybody that you've been working with as of late, you guys have been working really hard to get the para unity thing out there, and I just want to say I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys.
And we
Um,
appreciate you too for all your hard work and dedication, brother.
yeah, definitely, thank you. Yeah, I think it's a great movement, and it's a way to show a lot of these guys that are actually out there doing stuff, that there are people that care, and that are not just out to make a buck and post their junk up on the internet, and but to actually put quality stuff out and help people that need help. I've gone and helped more people than we've gone on investigations, and that right there is what's key to me anyway.
When I started the Spokane Ghost Crew 8 years ago, that's my main goal was to help people.
Yeah.
I mean, we walked into our first investigation with 3 flip phones. 10 minutes of recording, 10 minutes of playback. 10 minutes of recording, 10
Yep.
minutes of playback.
Yeah, and you learn as you go, as you go into investigations. Our first time out, like I said, we took like 20 people. Sam was there, she could tell you. We had so many people with us, we broke them up into groups, and that was actually good because I was able to sit there and go, okay, these are the people I want on my team. These are the people that we need to have. So it was a learning experience. And then, of course, there's never any shortage of equipment malfunction when you're out in the field. From
Oh,
recording, I lost probably a good 20 hours of footage when we were in Pioche the first time. I lost my whole pendulum series when I spent like an hour doing a solo session on a pendulum, and all that was gone. And I was just heartbroken because it's all that time and energy lost.
you want to talk about time being lost? I'm going to tell you a story that's going to make you cringe.
Oh no.
So, we were in our 3rd year. We were the hottest paranormal team going in the Northwest. And we went to a place called Colfax, Washington, for the specific reason of St. Ignatius Hospital.
Okay.
We're on the cusp of getting our own TV show here locally in Spokane. And I decided I was going to go in like hot shit to this hospital. And instead of figuring out what was in there, I was just going to taunt this thing into coming out. So I did. And we spent about 4 days in the hospital. We investigated with the mayor. We got into places no other teams have ever been in. And on our last night of investigating, so we slept in Schmuck Park for 4 nights. And it was in the middle of October. We go to plug in our memory card to dump into our file. Memory card says empty.
Oh no.
File says empty.
Oh no.
And I had to tell the lady the next day about this.
Oh man.
Long and short of it, she was irate. We went home empty handed. We lost our TV show.
Mm.
And I came home with a demonic attachment.
Oh man.
Yeah, 6 sagings and 3 blessings in about 6 months it took. It ruined my team, almost ruined my marriage. Yeah,
Man. Yeah,
that's a crazy story.
that's heartbreaking because I mean, it's rough enough to come home and sit there and go through footage. Because
Oh,
again, people do not realize how much footage you have to go through to get a 15-minute clip together.
well, not to mention all the rewind. Did
Yeah.
you hear that? Having other people listen to it.
Editing, voicing, enhancing audio. I mean, it all takes. I've sat in this room for hours on end, and to the point where I have to get up and walk away because I'm like, I can't sit there and listen to it anymore. I need a break. Because you
Yep.
spend hours, you spend probably triple the amount of hours than you did actually recording. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the thing. If you're sitting on 6 or 7 video cameras in 20 minutes of recording, that's 3 or 4 hours worth of film you got to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you have to watch that with a very keen eye, too.
yeah, you do. You can't just sit there. A lot of times what I've done lately is I'll run it through my audio enhancer first cuz it'll pick up any spikes. And then I'll go, okay, at this time there was a spike here, and then I'll go back and I'll watch the video to see. And then, of course we watch the videos as we go through, but if I'm looking for just audio clips at the time, that's what I'll do. Is I'll run them through my audio processor and let it see if there's anything that spiked.
Oh, there you go.
Cuz it's gotten to the point where it's like I'm watching 8 hours of an empty room with the camera in it.
Yeah, you're bound to see something that's not there if your own eyes really ain't there on your footage.
Yeah. And then to see if we picked it up at any other camera.
Running across.
Yeah. So,
I think Keith Evans has it right here when he says, I feel that the ghosts and spirits can cause your footage to disappear.
I do feel that myself. I think that it's definitely something that, when we went to go upload a lot of that footage, we were still in Pioche when I went to go transfer it from the flash drive to my laptop. And I put the flash drive in, put the SD card in, it starts loading up, and then all of a sudden it errors out, and all that footage was gone. And I was like, "Are you kidding? I just lost everything we just did."
Not to mention also equipment failure during investigations.
Right.
We've had spirits that have absolutely killed our cameras, and then it killed our K2, and then it killed our EVP, then it killed our SLS, and then it killed our spirit box. And we're sitting here going, well, we've been here an hour and a half. We got a flashlight. Can you kill that too?
Yeah. Yeah, we've had that many a times with our spirit box. And, we'll sit there and charge it, make sure it's ready to go to use it, turn it on. 5 minutes later, it's dead.
You got to tell the truth.
And I've come to the point now where I carry battery backups just so that we're making sure we're running our cameras longer.
Yeah, I've learned to carry AAA, AA, extra battery.
Oh yeah. And not only that, but I keep clear quartz in there with them.
Oh, there you go.
So,
did you watch the podcast with Charles Howard Johnson?
Yes, I did.
The flashlight trick, man, had always amazed me when he would get that to work.
Yeah.
But how much he did it, the one thing that always got me, the one thing that always made me feel good when he did it, he has this southern drawl back, and he will go, "Why, thank you."
Why, thank you.
And man, to this day, every time I hear it, it makes me smile, and it makes my heart feel warm.
Yeah.
It just cracks me up to hear it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
We've had to go, come on, Charles, say it.
Yeah, we've even had to goad him on investigations. Come on, Charles, say your famous line here. Come on, we're waiting, buddy.
Yeah, there's something. It's just kind of one of those pure and honest. You feel like it's genuine.
Exactly.
We even had people quit him because we had to give him.
So, how many team members does Utah Paranormal have at this moment in time?
So right now we have 6 dedicated team members, and then I can't even tell you how many friends and family members that I have that are working on it with me. We have Sam that goes out. She goes out with us quite a bit. Our main team members are myself and Tara, my wife, and then we have David and Paula. And David and Paula live in Cedar City, which is about 40 minutes north of me. And then Jim and Colleen. And Jim and Colleen are kind of our kind of PR people. We typically on every weekend we'll go somewhere. We'll end up somewhere, which is how we ended up in Pioche. We just drove until we found something.
Nice.
And then we start talking to the people there, and they're really good at talking to people. So they're really good at getting us into places and stuff like that, making contacts with people. Paul is really good with energy work and stuff like that and research, man. I'm telling you, there is nobody I know that's better with research than her. She will dig up documents and stuff on areas that you didn't even know existed.
Always got to have yourself a good researcher.
Yeah, we've found stuff that's even trumped what the Historic Society has been able to find, and we've been able to turn that over to them and go, hey, you list this, but we've actually found this document that states this. And so she's amazing when it comes to research and stuff like that. So
Great.
So, but yeah, we do have a number of friends and family that help and go out on investigations and, you know, step up. And we're going to need people this next year, because we're going to need extra camera people, and we're going to need, you know, people to set up and tear down when we're out at other locations. Cause there's going to be a lot this next year. Once I say this next year, I'm so used to saying next year because I'm so used to last year. This year, 2022, is going to be a big year for us to make a move and hopefully get that video out here by summertime.
Well, now you got me doing it. By the summer of this year, I personally should be down in Glendale, Arizona.
Oh, awesome.
And I definitely think we should hook up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Do some investigations together, because I really like your attitude. I like your style. You're my kind of guy. And I think we'd set this paranormal on fire.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. That'd be awesome to hook up with you and go out. You know, there's places that I've wanted to go down in Arizona. There's places I could show you out here, you know.
That would be fantastic, man. Para-unity all the way.
100%.
All right, brother. We're going to call it a night here.
Okay, man. Brian, thank you for having me on the show with the podcast. I love what you're doing. Like I said, I love the guests that you've had. I've enjoyed it. Definitely glad to help out in any way I can. So you got Utah Paranormal.
Well, all you got to do is agree to a round 2.
Yep, definitely. I'm game anytime.
Well, all right, brother. Is there anything else you'd like to say to our boils and ghouls before we head out?
Want to say thank you to everybody, and you know, keep on doing what you're doing. Share the love and spread the word. Get everything out there. Definitely spread the podcast and Matt with the paranormal consultant, all those guys. You know, thank you for everything that you guys have been doing. It means a lot. It really does.
Most definite. All right, Josh, you have yourself a good night, brother.
All right, Brian, you too, man. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Well, all right, guys. This concludes Let's try this again. All right, ladies and gentlemen. This concludes Wednesday's Worldwide Shadow Talk. Once again, I'm your ghost host, Brian James. Please go check out Parapost Network. Like I said, it's a great platform. You guys will absolutely love it. You can find it at parapost.net, or you can download it for free in the Google Play Store. And remember to go to D's Ghost and enter the promo code EQ, and you will get 10% off y'all's first order. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. You've been a beautiful audience. Watch the ending all the way to the credits, and we'll see you guys Friday night. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Share this like it's the plague. And if you guys have a YouTube channel that you want us to check out, you post it in Global United Paranormal Foundation group, and we will subscribe. Nighty night, y'all.